So ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be sitting down and we're going to be talking about the worst wonder weapons in Call of Duty Zombies history. This is going to be ranging from Black Ops 1 to Black Ops 2 and ending off at Black Ops 3. I'm not going to be counting World at War, as the wonder weapons in those maps were the first wonder weapons ever introduced into Call of Duty Zombies, so World at War does not count. Now this video will be very opinionated yet factual at the same time, as looking at statistics online and also just playing with the weapons in general, you kind of get a feel for if it's good or if it's bad. But we're going to be hopping straight into this, so if you haven't already, drop a like and let's get into it. Alrighty, so starting off with Black Ops 1 Zombies. This is personally one of my favorite games to play, as it gives me a lot of nostalgia and it's a very basic game. This was a game where they were kind of testing the waters for wonder weapons, and a really terrible wonder weapon in Black Ops 1 Zombies was the wonder weapon called the Winter's Howl. So this weapon was introduced in one of the Black Ops 1 zombie maps called 5, but was also reintroduced in the Resurrection map pack, which actually had Verrucht in it. So they thought, you know what, let's throw that wonder weapon into Verrucht, and there you go, you have the Winter's Howl in Verrucht. So what does this weapon do and what gives it the status of wonder weapon? So firstly, you can only get this weapon out of the mystery box, exactly like the ray gun. You have to hit up the box a fair amount of times to actually grab this weapon, but once you've got the weapon, what it does is when you shoot the weapon, it pretty much freezes the zombies and acts as what is going to have to be the freeze version of a ray gun. Now that sounds so cool, you can actually freeze the zombies, but the problem with that is the effect takes forever for it to actually happen, and if you are far away from the zombies and actually shoot this weapon at them, there's a high chance that it's not going to go into effect and the zombies won't actually freeze in time. This is a weapon where you actually do have to aim down sight a lot for it to go in full effect, and let's say this weapon's on Verrucht. The perks we have there are so limited that there's not a lot of perks that actually make this weapon a little bit better. We also don't have Pack-a-Punch on Verrucht, so it does take away the Pack-a-Punch version of this, but seriously, do you really want to Pack-a-Punch this weapon? You can do it on 5, but you can't be bothered Pack-a-Punching this weapon when it's actually so bad. I believe that this weapon was the beta testing for the ice stuff on Origins, just because it kind of has the same effect, except the Origins ice stuff is just a whole lot better. Alright, so that's enough of Black Ops 1 Zombies. Moving over to Black Ops 2 Zombies. Everyone thinks that we got some pretty great wonder weapons on this game. We got the Slickerfire, we have the Staffs in Origins, we have the Raygun Mark II and the Paralyzer, all these amazing weapons, but there's one that was pretty forgotten, and people want to keep it forgotten. Now this wonder weapon has to be the jet gun. So what the jet gun actually does is a shit ton of nothing. Seriously, I have no words for how you can actually explain this weapon. So this is one of the first buildable wonder weapons we had on this game, and what you needed to do was go around in the fog, find all the parts. Once you've got the parts, you can actually build it on the build table, and once you've built it, everyone thought that's really cool that it actually doesn't take up a weapon slot, but it actually takes up a buildable spot, so you can't have the turbine or the jet gun at the same time. But getting away from that and actually moving into what the gun actually does, this weapon is terrible because it overheats. This is one of the few weapons that we have in Call of Duty Zombies history that actually overheats, and you may be thinking, okay, once it overheats I can not use it for a while, but if it overheats a bit too much, it's going to break and you have to find all those pieces again all around the map. I feel like that's one reason why this weapon just isn't the best, the overheat malfunction that it has. Another reason this weapon just isn't good whatsoever is because if you look at the gameplay being shown, it's not that effective against the zombies. It's supposed to chew them up and blow them out like a leaf blower, but at the end of the day, this weapon doesn't do shit. It overheats, it's not effective, and it is very sluggish, so you will need stamina to somewhat try and make this wonder weapon good, but I never see anyone go into a transit game and actually grab this wonder weapon, or even just go into a transit game for that matter. But moving over to Black Ops 3 Zombies, we got a weapon that is a buildable but doesn't overheat, but personally it's one of the worst wonder weapons in Black Ops 3 Zombies, and this has to be the KT-4. Now don't get me wrong, the wonder weapons in Black Ops 3 Zombies zombies are pretty good, but this one right here puts a cherry on top, and I really do want to say this is the best out of the worst wonder weapons because it's somewhat effective, but in hindsight it's not that great. So what does KT4 do? This weapon is what I like to call the Sliquify 2.0, because if you can see in the gameplay, it's pretty much all this sludge and all this goo that gets shot out of a cannon, and it sounds really cool on paper, but once you're using it in game, it's really not that effective. Now this is the unupgraded version of this weapon, and to be honest, at the early rounds this is pretty alright, such as round 5, but you think a wonder weapon would be pretty overpowered with the wonder weapon status. But using this weapon, it gets terrible after round 10, and upgrading this weapon isn't a good idea because it gives you more ammo and kind of lasts a little bit longer. This really isn't a good weapon for the bosses too, just because the bosses have these spores on them, and when you shoot the spores off them, it takes forever to actually shoot the boss down with the KT4 just because it's not that effective. The damage this weapon does to the zombies isn't the best, and it's not an amazing weapon for high rounds. I do suggest using like the Skeleton on Subway. That is a quest weapon, and it's a whole lot better than the KT4. And I mean, this is a buildable. It doesn't take too long, but it is a buildable, and sometimes it will be a little bit tedious for all these new players to actually go and build. And aiming down sight actually doesn't make this weapon any better. It's just pretty much goo in a cannon. But as I was saying, the upgraded version just really isn't worth it. I do suggest switching this bad boy out just because it's not the best, but it actually is alright for points. But if we were to say what is the worst wonder weapon in Black Ops 3 Zombies, I would have to give it to my boy the KT4, just because it really just doesn't help you whatsoever. But guys, that's going to be my list for the worst wonder weapons in Zombies history. As I said before, this is personal opinion and factual at the same time, because these weapons, they're pretty bad. I know wonder weapons are a big thing in Zombies, but there are some ones that kind of make you think if they actually are that good, and when you do use them, they're pretty bad and don't get you to high rounds. But hopefully you enjoyed that video. If you did, be sure to smash a like on it. It shows you guys really support the video. If you're new around here, subscribe to the channel, stay up to date with all my Zombies content. And what I want you guys to go and do is comment down in the comment section below what weapon, perk, or map you want me to make a video on next, because I feel like I really want to make this into a little bit of a mini series where I make a video on the best of things or the worst of things, or either talk about an underrated thing that you guys should use or an overrated thing that everyone talks about when they play Zombies. I'm very curious. Tell me down in the comment section below. But that's going to be today's video, guys. I'm going to be seeing you in the next one. Peace out and goodbye.